In this section of the video, I'll be introducing you to MetaStock XENITH, MetaStock's data, news, and analysis platform. In MetaStock XENITH, there are numerous ways to access information. I'll be showing you the quickest and easiest ways to access that information. You can use this video in conjunction with the support videos on MetaStock XENITH found on metastock.com. With that, let's go ahead and go into MetaStock XENITH. We'll begin our introduction to MetaStock XENITH on the home page. The home page is designed to give us quick, easy access to all the information contained in XENITH. Anywhere you are within XENITH, you can always access the home page by clicking on Home. As we go through this, I'll give you a quick introduction to each section of the home page and then show you how to access the information. First, let's start with the asset classes on the left. The asset classes give you quick links to different tools that are available for each asset class. So if I click on equities, it will give me a further bit of information related to equities. And so forth if I were to do commodities or foreign exchange or money markets. Below, we have access to news and research, and we'll talk more about news and research in just a moment. On the right-hand side of the screen, we have access to top equity indices, cross markets, foreign exchange, bank rates, the interbank rates, and also benchmark bonds. In the middle of the screen, we have quick access to news. The equity news here at the top is related to the top market news. What's the top things that are affecting the market today? Below, we have categorical news that can be customized to what you would like to see in your view. So if I click on the Edit button, it will allow me to select which news stories I would like to see and have that view customized for me each time I log in. Now, each time I log in and select these, I will have automatic access to these. On each computer, now that I've set this, and when I exit, it will save my settings and save it for the next time I log in. Let's go over and talk more about news. In this section, you have access to Reuters Top News. The Reuters Top News is all the stories that are affecting the markets. What's moving the market now? On the left-hand side, we have categories. So if there's specific news stories that you're looking for, if you're specifically trading commodities and energy, you can click commodities and energy and get the news that's related to that market. You can come down and you can see reports and graphics based off of trader insight. We can also come over and we can select specific news categories. There's reports that are available to us under here. The day ahead is a report that Thomson Reuters puts out each day to help traders know what's happened on the markets today and what things to watch for on the next trading day. You can get Reuters breaking views, which are views on what Reuters sees may be affecting the markets. We can also come in and we can customize what we like to see on the left categories. So if I click More, I can essentially just check and uncheck different stories that I'd like to see, and then it will update the left-hand side with those stories. We can also set up our own custom views of what we'd like to see for news. So if I select My News, this will actually show you news searches that you've created and saved. So if I do an advanced search, we can come in and we can select specific sectors that we'd like to see news on, or we can select specific markets. So let's select specific sectors. So let's say I would only like to see the financial sector, news related to the stocks contained in there. So I'll select OK, and then let's go ahead and search. So these are the news related to the financial sector. I can now save this search as, we'll call it financials. Say OK. And now this news is added to My News. When I click on My News, it will be right there. Now the thing to note about news, When you're seeing the blue headlines, that means that there's a full news story associated with it. If you see a red news story, that means that it's a news story that there's no full story available for yet, but it will be following shortly. If I wanted to see one of the full stories, I just click on it, and it will bring me into the full story. Again, if I go down to My News, you'll now see the financials is saved right there. We can also set up the advanced search, so it'll give us specific news for specific companies. So if I select, and let's say we add Microsoft, and then choose Add, and then perhaps we add Google, and then choose Add. We can then select OK. And now when I save this search, or just search, it will only give me news stories related to those companies with that information. So that's a quick overview of the news and how to access the news. Let's go back to the home screen. Now the home screen again is set up to be something that you can click on anything that's highlighted and get more in-depth information. For example, on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, if you wanted to look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, we just click on that, and it will give me a deep dive, a bit of information on the Dow Jones. So here I have an overview of the Dow. So here's what it's doing over the last 3 months. Here's its 52-week range, market cap. I can see the top performers on the market today, bottom performers, volume, sector classifications, levers and joiners, and index competition. I can also go in and do constituent analysis, so I can see what all the constituents are of the Dow 30. And then I can click into any of those stocks to do more information. Okay. There's always going to be these tabs of information that we can pull on each thing that we're in. So let's go back to the home screen here for just a moment. And we'll be going more into equities and how to access different information in a moment. But I'd like to show you here on the left now, if we go into these different tabs. So if I were to choose stocks, this will take me in and give me a market overview of what the market's doing. So here I can choose the New York, I can choose the NASDAQ, Amex, and say what I'd like to see all the advanced declines. I'd like to see the short and long-term indicators, the most active for that market, net gainers and losers. I can also change the country view. So if I wanted to see Canada, for example. Okay, so here's my market digest for Canada. Let's go back to the United States for just a moment. And then for these tabs, there'll be related market data and tools. So if I wanted to see market overview for the S&P sector indices, I can click that, and it will bring me up a window that lets me view the S&P indexes. Let's go back to the home screen. Now across the top, you'll also see quick links here. Here we have asset classes, which are the same links as what you see over here. Here we have country views. So if I wanted to learn more information on Canada or the United Kingdom or any of the countries listed here, I could drill into them. So let's drill into the United Kingdom. This will give me an overview of what the market is doing in the UK. So here I have the country's credit rating, major news affecting that market, the key economic indicators for that country, FX rates related to the pound, market instruments, all the top indices here, and then we'll have related information. So I have news and events, financial markets, debt structure, central bank information, country comparisons. So if I were to go into central bank, it would give me an overview of what the central bank is in the UK. I can also relate it to other countries by clicking on country comparison and seeing how it compares against its top other countries in the G8. Okay, if I wanted to do Western Europe, I could do Western Europe. Let's go back over here and go to the home screen. Up here at the top again, news and research, which is the same as we've accessed over here. My icon is if you have a profile setting and preferences. And then let's go ahead and show you what we can do to search for information. If there's a stock I'm looking for, or a future, or a Forex pair, and I don't know the symbol, this is where I can come in and search. So let's say, for example, I'm looking for Google, and I don't know the symbol for Google. I can just type in Google, hit enter, and it will bring me up everything related to Google. Okay, so Google is traded in the United States. It brings up the top issuer here. So here we have Google. And then it'll bring me up everything that's related to it. So we have futures, options, equities, indices, and related news. Let's go ahead and just click on the symbol here. And what this will do is it'll bring me into an information sheet for Google. This information sheet is designed to give you a snapshot of all the relevant information for Google. Here we have pricing and charts. Here on this side we have a quick view of the price data. We have news and research, recent developments. Here we have broker recommendations. So this is the sector, IT services and consulting, and Google is just below it. So its sector actually has a higher buy recommendation than Google does at this time. Analyst recommendations, what they're saying to do with it. Down here we have estimates and guidance. I can click on any of these charts to get a larger view. On this side, I have relative valuation. I have the fundamental ratios, and then its peers. And I can click on any of these to get the same information. You will notice at the top here, we have 14 different tabs of information that are available to you, with each giving you more information on what you'd like to see. For example, if I'd like to see a fundamental view and see the balance sheet for Google. So here we have a view of the balance sheet for Google. As we go through, I can look at sector competitors and see what its sector competitors are doing. We can look at ownership. Who are the people that own this stock? Okay, it will give us the top 10 investors and who owns the stock. We can also come to the 360 menu. The 360 menu gives us an overview of what we can select to actually view on Google. So it's all these different tabs of information in one place. Some interesting things you can do here. You could view a seasonal chart. A seasonal chart is designed to give you a view of what a stock has done over the same period, broken out by year. So here we see Google over the last 5 years, broken out from January to December. So we can look and see what pricing has done over those periods overlaid. So it's a quick way to view the markets. And then there's other things that we can click in. We could look at fundamental estimate charting, volatility charting. Okay, and we could click into index and sector competitors as we have done before. From the top of the screen here, we can also access time and sales, blended order book, equities, option watch, indices, and sector indices. Time and sales is a quick way for us to view at what time this traded, what the price was when it traded, and the trade volume. Blended order book is for level 2. So if you're subscribed to blended order book and you subscribe to level 2 data, you can get level 2 information on stocks. Option watch is so we can go in and see the options on Google. So this will break it out by a view of calls and puts. Let's go ahead and go up and go back to the home screen. From the home screen now, we're actually going to now create what are called flex documents. Flex documents are setups that we can use to view quote lists, charts, news, and information all together in one screen. You can access this from the home screen as I just showed you, or you can choose Add Flex Document. So let's show you some of the views that we have pre-created for you, and then we'll develop some for yourself. Let's choose the North America view here. The North America view will bring up a list of stocks for the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, the Canadian indexes, and the Mexican indexes. When I click on any of these, it will update the relevant chart below, the news story, and if you have access, blended order book, as well as time and sales. So if I come over and select Alcoa, you can see it updates the chart, the news, and time and sales for me. In the quote window, you can access the information that you have available. If I scroll over, you can see right now this one has last, net change, percent change, bid ask, open, high, low, close, and volume. I can also rank on these. So if I want to sort descending, I can have it rank for this in real time so I can watch the views. I can also add in other relevant information to what I'd like to see. If I right-click, go to Column, Add Remove Columns, it will then allow me to choose additional criteria that I would like to add in. So if I wanted to view a value such as beta, I could search for beta, select Add, and then I can move it up and down anywhere in the area that I'd like to. Or you can go through and you can select it from the lists as you see them. I can now choose OK. And you'll see that it's added beta into the field for me. Over here, as we go through the news stories, if you see a news story you'd like to open, you just click the news story. It will open it up and give you the full news story related to that headline. Okay, this particular one didn't have a full news story because it's just telling us that there's an order imbalance. Let's go ahead and close this flex document. I'm not going to save the changes. I'm going to add a flex document and show you some of the different things that you can access here. There's an options view. This option view will give you a quick link into seeing the calls and puts. So let's bring up Microsoft. Okay, so what I've done here is I now have the calls and puts available on Microsoft. Down here I have the at the money implied volatility, and here I have the charted implied volatility. Okay, so this will give me the calls, puts, volatility over time. On this side, I'm just going to scroll this over. Now, one thing that's nice about working in a flex document is you can also pop information in and out. So if I choose the out arrow, it will pull it out of the flex document for me so I can work on it as an individual product. So the option flex document also has an options calculator in it where you can go in and you can do your own calculations based off of options. So let's pop that back in. And let's close this view. Let's show you how to build your own flex document now. So we're going to go to Add, Flex Document, and let's start with a side-by-side view. So on this side, I'd like to add in a quote list. So for the quote list, I'm going to create a new quote list, and I'll call this my XENITH watch list. And now what I'll do is I just type in the securities I want or search for the symbols that I'd like to add. So let's add a few different things. Let's add the Dow Jones. We'll add the NASDAQ.NDX. We'll add .OEX, the S&P. And then let's add in a few symbols as well. Okay, and then we'll add in Microsoft as well. Now the interesting thing about adding in indexes is you'll see this little arrow sign. If I click on the arrow sign, it will actually give me all the securities in the Dow 30 as a pop-out view. If I click the arrow again, it will minimize it. So if I open up the NASDAQ 100, there's the NASDAQ 100 securities. So it's a quick, easy way to pull information in and out by just putting in one symbol. Okay, now, what I would like to do is also add in a few other windows. Now, I only have one window over here, but I want to add in 3 more views. So what I'm going to do is split this horizontally, and then split it horizontally one more time. Okay, and I'm just going to move these by holding down the mouse and moving them around. Here I'm going to add a quote window. Here I'm going to add news. There are other views that we can add, but I'm going to select let's go ahead and add in a chart. Okay. And I'm going to remove this one. Remove object from the menu, and it's gone. Okay, so now what I'd like to do is actually map all these together. So if I come over here and right click and go link to quote, and then I'll right click again, go to link to news, and then we'll right click and go to link to chart. So now any of the symbols that I click will automatically update with all the relevant information to what I've chosen. Let's do the now, as I build my quote lists, and I click on any of these symbols, you'll see it'll update the news stories and the chart and the information. If I would like to save this view, I can come up to the top, click Save, and then I can name it. So I'm going to call this my XENITH workspace. To now access this information, I can close it, go to File, and then Open. And you'll notice this is saved to the Thomson Reuters drive. The Thomson Reuters drive allows us to access our workspaces from any computer. So now that I've created this, if I were to log in on my other PC, I could access my XENITH workspace. So I'll click Open. And there's my view. So let's go ahead and close this workspace. And go back to the home screen. Now from the home screen, we can also access some of the information that I've showed you. You can access time and sales. You can access option information. Company overview is the information page. We can also look at index movers and sector analysis. So if I click this link from the home screen, if I put in a symbol, so for example here we've got the Dow Jones or the Dow 30, you can see all the stocks in the Dow 30 ranked in real time. If I click on sectors, I can see which sectors the stocks in the Dow 30 are in. If I click on one of the stocks, so let's say I click on Bank of America here, it will then tell me all the different indices that Bank of America is in and how they are performing. So let's close and go back. Now from here, we can also monitor economics. So if I wanted to chart economics, we'll click on the Chart Economic Indicators. And from here, I can choose the different indicators I'd like to chart. So let's say, for example, I'd like to go to the United States. And if I choose the down arrow here, you can see all the different information that's available to chart based off of economics. So let's go ahead and go down to the U's here and look for unemployment. So let's choose unemployment overall and choose Add. This will give me a view of the market for economics. Now, if I'd like to see more data displayed, I can come up here to the Display More Data, and you can see this data goes back to around 1940. We can modify the chart properties and look at other information with it. Now, if I'd like to view this in other ways, so if I'd like to do absolute change, we can view it that way. We can also look period over period. If we have other indicators we'd like to map over it, we can add other indicators. So if I'd like to do announce job layoffs and add it, we can then plot those over each other. Let's use the same axis. Okay, so now you can see announce job layoffs versus actual unemployment. Okay. If we come back to the home screen, we can also monitor different economic indicators. So if we'd like to see those as they are coming out in real time. So the Economic Monitor is set up to allow us to set what countries we'd like to see our economic reports from, what time periods. So if I were to change to just the United States or change to the G8 or the G10, okay, we can change those. We'll change it from the G10 to from the G20 to the G10. Select OK. And then we can see these as they come in. We can change our view from today to what's coming up tomorrow or next week or the next 7 days. We can have it scroll automatically. We can look for comparisons and do comparisons across countries. We can also see the today's events all mapped out and add calendar reminders to Outlook. We can also here chart the indicators. So the Economic Monitor is set up for those who really like to follow the economic data and follow it as it moves the markets. Let's go ahead and close the Economic Monitor. Now that I've given you an overview of MetaStock XENITH in the home page, I encourage you to explore, find new information. As you go through and you click different links, you'll find a wealth of information that's available for you to use. As I mentioned in the introduction, I encourage you to use the MetaStock support videos. Use this as a companion to those videos. And most of all, enjoy the information that you get from here.